Okay, so this is going to be a quick review of a gold Hanzo player. Playing around 7 hours per week on average, which isn't bad. Obviously, I think with that amount of playtime, platinum is possible. So we'll find out what we can be doing to squeeze more value out of your character. I would like to be a little bit more consistent. I think the key thing with consistency is playing at the same time every day, having a consistent warm-up routine that you do for 5-10 minutes, and then playing frequently rather than for longer periods of time infrequently. So playing a little bit and then just playing basically every single day. So you're saying getting around 7 hours per week on average. If you want to aim for a little bit more consistency, the way that those 7 hours are spent is really important. So playing 7 days a week with 1 hour, playing an hour and a half, 4 days a week, that would be better than playing, like, let's say 7 hours for 2 days, right? In other words, you get 3 hours and 4 hours. It's best to kind of spread it out. And then ultimately, especially with a projectile character, and honestly with really any mechanically dominated character, consistency is, perfect consistency anyway, is really impossible. I mean, no player of any level has good consistency. Some players are a little bit more consistent than others because they sleep well, or they have good warm-up routines, or they go in with the right mentality and go in with the right goals. But ultimately, there's just too many variables to always have a consistent outcome. And especially when we talk about a character like Hanzo, we're going to be looking at Junkertown here, which is great, but it is also just a great Junkertown map. So a great Junkertown map. I say it's going to be a great Hanzo map. So it's going to be a lot easier to find consistent outcomes no matter what you play into when it's on Junkertown. But if you were to play Hanzo on other maps that are more congested, or maybe maps that don't have a lot of high ground that you can utilize, it's going to feel a little bit trickier to play this character. Maybe you struggle versus Tracers. Maybe you struggle versus Genjis. Ultimately, your consistency may feel like, oh, I'm not playing that well, but it's just the map doesn't provide those same level of opportunities. And you'll find that a lot more with characters like Hanzo that are kind of more of those Overwatch 1 designs that have extreme strengths and extreme weaknesses. Hanzo is definitely a jack of all trades when it comes to playing different ranges. You can play short, you can play medium, play long, but definitely a little bit of verticality, medium range, and preferably not too many dive characters. That's really where Hanzo thrives. So if you find yourself in those super short sightline, super dive-oriented situations, then you might not feel as useful with Hanzo. And you might feel like you're playing more consistent when it's reality just the limitations of the character himself. So we'll focus on giving you some feedback and giving you some goals, but I wouldn't worry as much about consistency beyond what variables you can control about how much you're playing, are you warming up, and going in with the right mentality, and so on. I feel like mechanics are holding me back. Okay, the best way to improve on mechanics with Hanzo is just to play the character in ranked consistently, to one-trick the character, to practice slowing down your shots and trying to read movement patterns. You can also go into unranked deathmatch, so arcade deathmatch, and play that as well. That can be useful for Hanzo. I believe Tryhard Free-For-All has EU lobbies as well in custom games. That might be worth pointing out and looking at too. Beyond that, practice makes perfect, and ultimately, with the amount of playtime that you're getting, you're going to have at best platinum level mechanics, I think. You're not going to be able to play 7 hours a week and have diamond level mechanics. It's very unlikely to have that. So what you could do is you could practice mechanics in a couple of ways with Hanzo. And I'm going to pull up practice range really quick here. We talked about where you can practice. Ranked, arcade, deathmatch right here, Tryhard Free-For-All. You can type in, I don't even know if there's a lobby right now, but Tryhard, and then look under all games here, and there's one right there. That one's not terrible. But then how do you practice mechanics with Hanzo? And I think there's a couple of ways to do it. One is to slow down your shots, right? Trigger discipline, not to rush every single shot. That's the big one. But there's another big one with Hanzo, as my practice range refuses to load here, which is going to be a lot about crosshair placement. So what we'll look at here briefly, we won't go as in-depth on it, I don't think, is crosshair placement. So if I'm headshotting this robot here, I can just aim right there, no problem. Okay. But do I find myself aiming at head height at these extreme ranges where you can see, due to the arc of the bullet, let's break shield here, this is not going to headshot. It's going to be just below the head. And I find that a lot of Hanzo players consistently struggle with crosshair placement due to the arc of the projectile. They don't place the crosshair at the right height versus the right distance. And making sure that you consistently do that is really a low-hanging fruit, I guess, for making yourself to be more consistent at your output at Hanzo. Am I reading the range correctly? Am I aiming at head height when they're close and aiming a little bit above when they're further away? Very important that you do that and do that consistently when we're trying to improve your Hanzo mechanics. So you could go into a game and you only practice your crosshair placement, or you only practice in slowing down your shots. Those are different ways to practice your mechanics. Beyond that, let's take a look here. What angle are you going to be playing right now? Like, for example, right now, you're putting all of your attention onto Rhine Shield, and even with your Sonic, with your Storm Arrow, and with your primary fire. But, we could sit here and shoot Rhine Shield all day long, but is there another target you could be pressuring? Is there another angle you could be taking? You could be applying Sonic Arrow here and looking to duel out Harry here. Now, you can beat a Symmetra at medium to long range, especially when you have Sonic Arrow, and especially when you have Storm Arrow, right? You had both of those things, but instead you threw it into a Rhine Shield. That's exactly what Reinhardt wants you to do. You need to be pressuring out squishies when you have opportunities, and that was an opportunity right there. And I think this is kind of where people have problems with mechanics too, because if you think about this, if you spend a lot of time shooting what's directly in front of you, shooting shield, not taking angles, not taking intelligent duels, you're not pushing yourself mechanically whatsoever. You go, well, I don't trust myself to hit that shot. I don't trust myself to be able to hit the Sonic here and the Storm Arrow here and then maybe roll out here and hit the head. I don't trust myself to hit that shot. Well, guess what? If you're never going to have it then. If you don't force yourself or trust yourself to experiment and grow your mechanics by taking intelligent, not bad duels, like I would never, run into the Symmetra in point-blank range, but then you're never going to improve. So let's see, where's our sight line here? There's a little bit of crosshair placement issue there. That fell a little low. And right now, I appreciate what we're doing with the Storm Arrow, but I want to see us take an angle here. I want us to take vision up here, or maybe peek over the edge here, right? If you get an opportunity to rotate here. Your vision here is bad because you're on cart. Let's see what you do. You see, we're kind of stuck shooting Rhine Shield because we've only given ourselves the opportunity to do nothing but shoot Rhine Shield. I assume that, I don't know who that was intended for. Oh, he wants you to use the pedal. Yeah, I mean, the vision from the pedal isn't all that much better. But I will say, I'll say one thing in the Lifeweaver's benefit here. He definitely recognizes that this isn't a great position for you, right? You're just standing basically on card and shooting Rhine Shield. You're not utilizing your kit. You don't have vision. Like, there's no chance for you to one-shot anything unless the Reinhardt drops his shield. In Overwatch 2, you have so many positional choices that allow you to skip the tank, or maybe force the Rhine to shield you, but not your team. Maybe see what the Genji's doing? He's harassing the Sojourn. There's a chance to get a kill here. In addition, he's forcing the Reinhardt to come after him, right? But that's opening up opportunities, right? I mean, if this is how you play Hanzo, it's just basically crosshair placement spamming, right? But ultimately, that's just, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's a little bit of luck, right? You had good crosshair placement. I appreciate that, but this is where people get mad at Hanzo for spamming logs, but this doesn't work. There's a hard ceiling with how long this can work, even if you do have good mechanics. And so a lot of what I'm going to have to say about Storm Arrow, right? So what I want you to do is you take the angle, you use the Sonic Arrow to either scout people who might push you or to scout line up your shots, whether that's here or over here. And then once you're on that position, you can use your Storm Arrow to spam people from afar or to fight people off who are on top of you. And that's pretty much it. You take a little bit of an angle, take a little bit of a different position, a high ground, or a flank to the left or a flank to the right. Nothing super far from your team. A nice long sightline, preferably. And then you use your Sonic and your Storm Arrow and your lunge to help you live or fight or duel or kill on that angle. And from here, the entire positioning loop means that no matter what you do with your cooldowns, it just doesn't matter. You're essentially basically praying that people walk in your shots, and the only reason it's working as well as it is right now is because, we're playing Junkertown. So you're playing a map where it is very easy to keep distance away. I like this a lot from you. This is really good. Shooting tank is okay if you got a nice position for it, nice little angle. You could Dragon this if you want to. It's not the most valuable ultimate, but you can still force a split. Still locking in on Reinhardt. You notice that? No attempt to kind of take the position here. And even if you were going to snipe from here, maybe aiming for the Symmetra or the Juno, it's just kind of shooting on the Reinhardt, right? So I want you to find those opportunities and find those positions. I see you looking at Sojourn there. So here's what we're going to do for the rest of the VOD. I'm going to stretch your positioning creativity here. I'm going to ask you right now, with the fact that you have Sonic, Storm Arrow, and your team isn't completely abandoning you, like you guys are okay. What position, give me 2 angles that you could take with Storm Arrow and Sonic Arrow to apply pressure other than this choke right here? What 2 positions? Now, this is for the student. If you guys are viewing, obviously you can do this exercise as well. And if you're viewing and if you're higher than a gold rank, you might challenge yourself and ask, what is the optimal one? Because the 2 angles are here or here. And if you want to get really saucy, you in theory could take an angle here because there's a lot of distance here. It's a bit more risky. But look at the vision here. Bam, Sonic Storm. Bam, Sonic Storm. Very difficult for them to deal with, right? Here, It's risky. Risky and not very valuable laden, for lack of a better term. Don't hate the dragon. Would have minded a little bit of a Sonic for the dragon first, just so you know what you're aiming at. But yeah, I think forcing a split is always useful. Okay, we're going to take the high ground here. And then we're going to Storm Arrow the Sojourn. Nice. Good. It's fine. Wouldn't mind a Sonic right here, and then maybe to see what you do from there. Probably go to the left of that, so you don't have to shoot it. I think here, just swing to the left here and apply pressure from here would be the best way. You can Sonic and hide and use the cover here. You could hard flank right. Wouldn't be bad. Okay. Nice. So let's take that top right again here. I don't want you standing here. This is how you're gonna get shattered, aren't you? Oh, no, no. We're actually gonna take the high ground. Love it. Okay. Don't like you spamming Reinhardt when you could be helping here, right? You're not even... Maybe you look at that and you're like, okay, the Reinhardt's low, I can finish him off, but you didn't even look. Okay. Little Sonic there in high ground. Nice shot there. I don't want you in cart. I don't want you in cart. I want you thinking, what if they touch? Let's hold this position here instead, just in case. Think about your angle here. All right. So right now we're gonna have another strategy session here. What is an angle that you can take? Well, maybe we'll wait a few seconds here. Where you can find a sightline that doesn't have you looking straight up in the air or looking at a Rhine shield. We have all the information you need right now. All right, viewers, student, give me 2 positions. Pause the video because I'm gonna say it right now. All right, first one, wall climb up top here. A little bit split from your team, but you have your Sonic, you have your Storm Arrow, you can pop out and take a duel here. High risk, high reward. Other option would be the exact same thing from this position here. Also high risk, high reward. The lower risk angle would be to swing wide here and pop here. And then you can always lunge back to your team. Oh, but I don't want to be split. Well, that's the nature of cover, and that's why we have lunge. That's why we have Sonic. That's why we have Storm Arrow for big bursts in value. There is worth and value to this as opposed to this, where your vision is compressed. You're getting spammed by people that can't even see you. Ultimately, high-level Overwatch is about taking positions to give you more vision. And the irony is that standing behind your tank is really, honestly, usually the most dangerous position that you could possibly be. Case in point. Make them look split. Now, notice that we chose angles that gave you a little bit of distance, because that's one of your strengths with Hanzo. All right, let's see here. You can Sonic this. I like this. Good little bit of vision. I see the vision here. You're like, oh, can I wall climb up over that? All right, get off the floor. Good shot, but get off the floor. I like the fact that we're not shooting tank. That's good. Get off the floor. So in other words, get off the floor and maybe take a position here. Something like that. Just a little bit of a different sight line. Don't stand, remember, directly behind card or directly behind your tank. Okay. I like the Sonic there. All right, exercise number 3. As we walk forward here, what angle can you play that will allow for better sightlines, better crossfire, getting around, distraction? Where could you go? Top right, maybe? Maybe if the cart moves forward, you could take top left, use your cover here, save your lens just in case you get pushed. You have 3-4 people on cart here. You do not need to be on cart. Oop, do it. Do it with the dragon. I can smell the dragon here. You can use that Sonic and then dragon there. Yeah. Thank you, Life Weaver, for once. Let's go. So Sonic this and dragon it. And then just hold this high ground. Do it. Do it. The downward angle with dragon is not bad. Like, it's really not bad. Sometimes it's less about how long the dragon goes and more about the angle that the dragon gives you. Right? Totally fine. Totally fine. Let's keep going. I think we're dropping to use a dragon, which is fine, but then as soon as you do so, I want to see you take back up top. Nice. It's a little close, but we're directly behind tank. At least this time we had a little bit of information before we popped it. Okay, so, again here. What's next? Okay, I like this a lot. Okay, so once we're here, the question is going to be, I mean, it really comes down to mechanics check here, right? And so let's not just take high ground for the sake of high ground here. Is there a better angle that allow you to get a bit of a better crossfire? What if you took this position here? Something to consider. I don't hate this position. Ultimately, this is just going to come down, can you hit your shots, which is not always easy. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, so this is a bit of a stomp. That's okay. Wait, how? Oh, they must have levers. Oh yeah, they have levers. Okay, so we'll look at the other one. We'll look at I think you sent me another code here just in case. So look at a couple more team fights. But the big thing here is I want you to take different angles from behind your tank that provide distance. And then when you're on those angles, really be thoughtful about how you're using your sonic arrow for information. And then how you're using your storm bow to get value. In terms of, because storm arrow is really good at 1v1s, right? It's good for tank pressure and shield pressure. Okay, we really got to be rolling on here. What's going on? But yeah, okay, let's keep going here. A little bit of scouting there. Good. Yeah, you can win this. Don't get too close to him, but you can absolutely win this. Notice this guy has been, he's getting saucy with it, right? Now, you were very late to the fight, which definitely hurt. Nice shot. Nice shot. Do you see what happens when you take little angles here with your storm and your sonic? That was really good. Would have liked that a lot sooner. The big thing that makes Hanzo unique is that he can take these angles and apply pressure from big distances, right? And so if you look at this here right now, what angle can you take here that will give you range and cover? So we're shooting here, but what if you rotated to here, right? What if you sonicked here and then pop, 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 right? You'd have to be careful to make sure that you don't get flanked here. But yeah, this guy is... you notice that like when they hide from your tank, they hide from you. That sucks. If you go here, you can crossfire. This is the value of angles right here. Good. This is a bit of an angle, right? Like a little bit, so your tank is here and you're here, so it's really hard for her to hide. That's not bad. Good sonic arrow there. Okay, let's keep going. So what crossfire are you going to provide here? Let's see. Okay. This vision's nice. Good sonic arrow there. Good little bit of scouting information. Yeah. I like this. I like this. I mean, this is fine. If they want to take an angle on you, like who wins this duel at this range? I think Hanzo does, especially if you use your storm arrow correctly. Storm arrow is really freaking good. The key thing is there you miss the sonic. Like well, no, did you miss the sonic? No, I think you hit it where you wanted it to. Let's see. Yeah, that's where you want it to be. That was good sonic. Good stuff. Really nice stuff. And then now you can angle here. You could just sit here and shoot tank from here. So we talk about shooting tank, right? It's not always a priority if you have another option available. But if that's kind of all you can see from your angle, then sure. Yeah, nice. Good shots. You could use your dragon here, honestly. Just see enemies, just toss them. Nice shot. This is like, you don't even realize it, but you've actually taken a bit of an angle from where your tank is playing. And I just love to see it, as opposed to Junkertown, where you're just basically married to being right behind your tank. Good Sonic. Don't mind the dragon. It's a zoning dragon, so the Sojourn can't disengage without dying. Like, that's what the dragon does there. It almost feels like the Cassidy taking flanks. It's kind of forced you to be a little bit more thoughtful about how you're positioning. This is a crosshair placement one, right? So your crosshair is just a tiny bit too low here. But yeah, the Cassidy is kind of forced you to be a bit more creative here. I like this angle, by the way, right? Look at your tank. Look at you. You're playing too far away to get isolated, and your supports can still heal you. Wouldn't mind you saving Storm Arrow until if you don't see anybody. It's like right here, instead of like, I guess you saw the Lucio, but it can be really useful for when they try to duel you. Case in point right here. Like, you'd really love to have that Storm Arrow right here, because it is so good at winning 1v1s. So you might need to lunge out here. Oh, I thought that was going to hit. That's an unfortunate Diva Bomb death, but yeah, I think you should be good. Okay, let's keep going here. Are we late to roll out again? Yeah, we gotta break this habit, mate. I'm not gonna lie. This you're losing basically the first fight every time because you're 4v5, pretty much exclusively. I know life happens, but you know, it's definitely a big deal. Okay, where's your tank? Where's your angle here? So as soon as your team kind of gets grouped up here, you're gonna need to be a little bit more creative with your positioning here. So I don't hate the sightline. This is a good range for you. And I like how you're using your Storm Arrow and your cover. This is good. So then as your tank walks forward here, let's actually pause right here. So where's your angle here? Where's your rotation here? Where could you rotate to? You could stand behind your team. What about if you rotated, lunged and rotated to left and opened your angle here? What if you just walk with your team and then as you guys walk forward, you rotate to here instead, right? This is a bit of a trickier Hanzo map for sure. It's a bit more congested. What was that Lucio doing? This is crazy. Nice shots. Okay. Yeah, so basically what I'm noticing with your positioning is you have a little bit more awareness of like, oh, high ground good, therefore I should play high ground, but not always thinking about angles as opposed to high ground. So like, let's say that your Zarya wants to control this choke here. You could control this sightline here, or you could even control this sightline here, right, with cover, right? That's an angle. This is also an angle because high ground just provides you more vision, but it's just something to consider. We saw that, I think, on Junkertown as well. Now, if you get pushed, you will need to run away, but them pushing you is value. They have to use resources. Probably Sonic that. Definitely Sonic that, just for information, because you could even drag in that. Oh, that's a missed Sonic. That's okay. Good shot. Nice angle, though. I mean, you just got smoked. That's all. It happens. I mean, people are going to push you. He caught you by surprise. You can also Sonic, not just for where you can spam down the choke, but you can also Sonic to see if people were going to try to push you. Like a Sonic here would have told you that Cassidy's trying to push you. So maybe the more aggressive the angle, the more likely you need to use Sonic for scouting on who might push you. And ultimately, high-level Overwatch, a lot of it just comes down to people trying to catch each other by surprise, people trying to take different creative angles, right? And ultimately, that Cassidy is doing a good job. Nice. See, Diva's not even thinking about you. She's thinking about your tank. So you coming back from spawn is an angle here. Like, look at where your team is. Look at where you are. This is perfect. Just keep shooting here. Okay. You can use Dragon here. Oh, a little slow. A little slow. I don't know if you would have gotten the perfect grab Dragon combo there, but you might have caught one. Cassidy's dead. I love this angle from you. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the distance. Look at the cover. Look at where your tank is, and you're a little bit off to the side. Perfect. Honestly, I think you could have held there. Instead of chasing the target here, you can kind of just hold here. If the Diva goes at you, you just lunge back, get to cover. I like that Sonic a lot. Good crosshair placement from you right there. Good use of your Storm Arrow to win 1v1s. Okay, so we'll stop there. Check marks for you. Hold corners or angles that provide you with a little bit of distance, with a little bit of a different vision than what your tank sees. Once you're on that angle, decide if you want to use Sonic Arrow to help you line up shots on main or to help scout for people pushing you. And then finally, make sure that you're trying to use Storm Arrow more often than not to win 1v1s or to at least not lose 1v1s, lunging back or lunging forward as necessary. And then with your ultimate, I think what you did in terms of how you placed your ultimate was probably fine, but you could probably just use it a little bit sooner because it's honestly just a kind of a hit or miss ultimate, but it does give you value just from causing chaos in the enemy team, so you don't need to save it for the perfect situation. But yeah, okay. Let me know if you have any questions. That's kind of a crash course here. I'd work on one of those things at a time. Don't worry about practicing everything at once. Those are just some details that you can practice once per game, once per day. Just have a session where you just focus on playing the right angles or using Storm Arrows for duels or crosshair placement or whatever you'd like. And let me know if you have any questions.